Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me again today. It's another episode of Africa Before Africa podcast, and I am glad to have you all join me. As always, I am not in here alone today. I'm with another amazing and beautiful woman doing exceptionally well in her field. Her name is Lady Mojisola Oyelade. She is a supply chain expert. She's an expert with over 15 years in the oil and gas industry, and she's a passionate philanthropist working in the education sector. So I'm going to bring her on board now and have her tell us more about herself. Well,
Hi, Moyendwa. How you doing? Thanks for having me here.
thank you, Ma. Good evening, Ma. Trust your day has gone well.
Yes, it has. And how's yours
All
been?
right. Yeah, fine, amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for making our time to join us today, Ma.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
So I would love you to please. I've introduced you, but would love to hear from the autism out. So I'd love you to introduce yourself. Tell us more about who Lady Mojisola is.
Okay, so like you rightly said, my name is Moji Eladi. I work as a supply chain professional, but I'm here for Learners Post Foundation. I'm passionate about helping people. I'm passionate about education for young children. I'm passionate about gifting education to children that cannot afford education because I understand the impact of education on people, on society, and the world at large.
Thank you so much for that, man. Thank you so much. Indeed, it's evident that you're passionate because for someone to start a foundation like yours in the country, Nigeria, it's amazing and it's beautiful to see that people are not just focusing on the of course everything is relevant, but then it's good and beautiful to see that there's still a lot of people out there like you focusing on ensuring that everyone has quality education regardless of their financial status or their social status. Thank you so much, ma. So thank you so much for everyone that has joined us today. Together with me, we would be discussing about story correcting Africa through quality education. So, Lady Mojisola, the first thing I would love you to talk about is what inspired you to start Learners Post Foundation? Because looking at you being a career woman in the oil and gas industry, and then you're diverting into starting a foundation that is solely for education, that's really great. So, we would love to know what inspired you to do that, ma.
Um, so where do I start? I was inspired by a couple of things. So I'll tell some stories in between. So like I said, I enjoy helping young children. So I've done some for some years. I've helped children in different parts of Africa. And I think what really inspired me to start was I just looked at it that if I could do that by myself, I can leverage my network to help more children. And then from the numbers that we see, the projections that we see, I think it has become more important to do things like this than never before. Like we all know, education is a right for every child, but unfortunately, it still remains a privilege to many. And according to UNESCO, 98 million rather, of out of school children in the world are sub-Saharan African children. And
Wow.
of the 98 million, 20 million are Nigerians. So that inspired me, in addition to my personal journey on helping children, to decide that I can contribute my quota along with the people I have around me to help those people. And why did I choose education? Um, I think it's one of the most significant things you can give to a child. I think it's one of the gifts that would have the most lasting impact. And so you can feed a child. I understand and reckon that food is very important. You can feed a child, you can clothe a child, but when you educate a child, you're empowering that child beyond today. So, and I'm aware that a lot of people are doing things along other lines, but I decided to come in through education because of the lasting impact it would have on the child's family, on the child's community, on the child's nation, and on the world at large.
Thank you so much, Ma. It's so amazing to see that actually. And of course, I love the fact that you touched on the fact that when we educate a child, when a child gets educated, it's not just about the child, it's about those around the child, it's about the society at large. So it's everyone. Of course, everyone can feed a child, everyone can clothe a child, but maybe not everyone can have the capacity to educate a child, to put a child into school, and not just any school, into a good school that would enable the child to become a great and useful citizen of the society. Thank you so much, Ma. That's really amazing to point out. Yeah, another thing I would from your conversation is it's also worthy to know that it's education which is meant to be a right, a necessity for every child is now becoming like, yeah, it's a privilege if you get educated, which is not meant to be. It's meant to be like everyone should be educated. So I would love to ask, what approach do you take in your foundation to help these individuals to get quality education?
Okay, so firstly, the essence of my foundation is to help African children actualize their potentials as human beings by giving them quality education. So it's quality education to quality learners. And I say quality learners because I reckon that not every child wants to go to school, right? So you for one of the things we look out for in our foundation is that willingness to learn. And how do we do it? We partner with organizations. We take referrals from individuals as well, but mostly we partner with organizations to identify the children that really need the support and then work with them through those organizations. And we keep them accountable. We keep for those that still have a parent or guardian, we keep those people accountable. We make them see that they are stakeholders in this venture. It is not so it's positive educational philanthropy. For you to be able to get it and retain it, you must play your part. And part of playing your part is being accountable to what you are receiving. And part of demonstrating your accountability is for you to reflect in your performance, not just academic performance. So one of the things we ask the beneficiaries to do, for example, is we ask them to write letters sometimes, and we read those letters. We ask them different topics, right? And part of the things we look out for in those letters is their written English, right? And then the way they express their experiences in school, the way they express their desires for future and all those kind of things. So we are making the child accountable. We're making the child's parent or the guardian accountable. And then we're also demonstrating accountability to the people that support us, because of course I can't do this alone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I also love the point of it's fine, it's available to all, but you have to see that these people truly need it. These people truly want it and they are willing to put in the work, because it's not enough to just have these individuals go into school and then if they're not doing well, there's no point, because it's just going to be like the resources are not being fully utilized when there are so many more children out there that would really want this kind of opportunity and make the most of the opportunity. Thank you so much for that, man. So another thing I'd love you to talk about, you already talked about the fact that your foundation, which is Learner Sports Foundation, is aimed at giving quality education to quality learners. I love the fact of quality education to quality learners, not just any form of learners. I would want you to talk around the fact that how do you think quality education being made available to everyone that really wants to have it can help change the perception of Africa?
Okay, so I saw a good definition on quality education that I would like to share firstly. So it says a quality education is one that is maximally productive of human values and contribute towards students becoming informed, compassionate, and productive members of their communities. So how does that help Africa? We are looking at bringing up a wholesome child. You can't eliminate compassion from wholesomeness. So it's beyond going to school to get the academic grades, right? You want a child that can communicate effectively. So we are not saying every child must be a STEM student or every child must become a lawyer or have a white collar job. Regardless of what you want to do, regardless of your vocation, you must be able to communicate effectively what you have to offer the world. You must be able to express your desires. You must be able to express the things you imagine. You must be able to Yeah, just tell people who you are and what you have to offer them, right? So effective communication. Education also helps to promote self efficacy. It helps to promote self-sufficiency. Education promotes compassion, like I mentioned earlier. Education helps us to be an informed society. Education does it helps our organization, it helps our society, it helps our politics, it helps our business. I mean, the impact is enormous, and yeah. So yeah,
Yes, thank you so much. I agree with you, Ma, because when you were just speaking, the thoughts that I had a mental picture in my mind that, like, okay, looking back, there's some areas, of course, in Africa where you get there and there are these people, they are human beings. I wouldn't say they are less of human beings, but the way, the character they exhibit, their mannerism, that charisma, their courage, like you just look at it and then you think, are these people really educated? Probably if they are educated, more of this kind of people wouldn't be seen in the society, or the society wouldn't necessarily have them in terms of the touts, the people that are just at the different garages hailing you. I believe that they truly, most of them don't want to end up that way, but they probably didn't just have the opportunity to go into school, or if they had the opportunity to go into schools, because of course there are so many schools out there, but maybe not all of them are given the kind of education that is truly needed to help transform the society. Thank you so much for that,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
right, Moi. And another thing I would like to add is that so based on projections, right, Africa was going to have, so the most vibrant population of the world by 2030 will be Africans. By 2050, one in every four, at least one in every four persons you meet and interact with will be African. So imagine an Africa without education. Imagine an
wow,
Africa without quality education. Imagine interacting with four people at the minimum, and at least two of them are Africans, and two of them are not able to communicate effectively. What kind of world would that be to all of us? So when we do these things, we are ultimately helping ourselves eventually, right? Education also promotes equality amongst individuals, regardless of your region or geographical location. So the benefits are endless as far as I can tell.
that's true. The last thing you said about education promoting equality is so true, of course, because if you can communicate well, if you have something, if you are knowledgeable, there's, regardless of your color, regardless of your race, your gender, your height, or anything, the main thing is everyone wants to see you and hear you communicate and hear you make sense. And once you make sense, there's no limit to how far you can fly. Thank you so much about that. Thank you so much for all that has joined so far. If you have questions, please pop it in and let's make this session as interactive as ever. So I was going to ask again that in what ways do you think we can, once young Africans that are educated, what ways do you think we can better help them to become global leaders, become lead people that could help in the global economic scale? Say they are educated, or we want to help them get educated.
Okay, so one of the major ways that I think we can help them, I think I mentioned it briefly before, is by educating them. They are not just giving them education, they are sowing seeds of a lot of things. They are sowing seeds of compassion. They are sowing seed of love. They are sowing seeds of mutual respect. They are sowing seeds of possibilities, right? They are demonstrating what is possible to them in the world. And being African leaders, we don't want, or global leaders, we don't want leaders that are without compassion. We've seen them, we've seen such leaders, and we see the kind of results that they generate. We want compassionate leaders. We want knowledgeable and selfless leaders. We want leaders that can show us what is possible in the world, regardless of our background. So by educating those children, we're not just teaching them academics, we're also teaching them, we're reframing their mindsets. Like I said, I'm not doing this alone. I'm doing this partnering with orphanages. I'm doing this partnering with schools, people that own free schools. I'm doing this partnering with other kinds of individuals. And we believe that as we collectively support those children, we are reframing their mindset. We are teaching them a lot of things that they probably wouldn't have picked elsewhere. We are teaching them possibilities. We are teaching them love. We are teaching them, we're allowing them to imagine what they can become, right, regardless of where they've come from. And I believe that this would ultimately help to shape the kind of leaders they'll become in future. And another thing that we do is, as we mentor them, we're looking out for their talents, we're looking out for their potentials, and also helping them to channel those potentials to ensure that they make the most of them.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, it's worthy to note that you're not just educating, like, education isn't just about learning to read and write, it's also about noticing the talents in the lives of the children and also helping them get better in the talent. While I was young, I remember that my parents said something about, yes, ultimately, not everyone would do a white collar job. There are people called into the business world. But then the unique thing, or the thing that stands out, an educated business person and an uneducated business person is a lot. You would definitely see the reflection in the business of whoever is educated and is doing business, or you see the reflection in the handwork, say a tailor, a barber. Once the person is educated, you see that difference in it. You can tell. So that means education just transcends and it affects everything. It has a positive effect on everything that everyone gets to do. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much, Ma. And another thing I was thinking is, now, fine, it's easy to get these children. How about those that have grown, say the teenagers or the young adults in their 18s, in their 20s, but they didn't have access to this quality education as kids? Is there a way that they could still be redeemed? Because ultimately the society is filled with, to them, filled with children, filled with elderly people, filled with young adults also, and each of this population have a way of affecting and affecting the country and society at large.
Oh yes, I don't think there's anyone at any stage that is not redeemable. I was having a conversation with someone earlier today. She owns a school, and she said that she has a 12-year-old that is currently in nursery two, right? So the beauty is that the 12-year-old has realized the importance of education and why she needs to get to school. Why I said quality learners initially is because you can't force people to appreciate the value of what they don't understand. So for an 18-year-old that is not educated and would want to be educated, firstly, they need to understand what the impact of that education on them. So if I'm an 18-year-old and I've never been to school, for me to want to go to school, I should understand what the essence, what the impact of that education would be on me. And that, I think, that is where modeling also comes in. If they see people around them that are attaining great feats, that are educated, and that they have like an advantage because of that education, it will encourage them to go to school to get that education. We've seen adults going for adult education, right? Even
Right.
at older ages. So the main for me, I think the most important thing is identifying the value, the significance of education, and then the age becomes irrelevant. At they can get educated at any time.
Thank you so much, Ma. Yes, I agree with you that the important thing is the person see a need for it. Once the person sees a need for it, then the age is no longer a barrier and is no longer an hindrance as to how far and how long the person can go to.
And
Questions can
as
start.
you rightly said, sorry to interrupt you.
No, no problem.
As you rightly described earlier, education makes a great difference between the quality of the service or the products that we produce. If you see a tailor that is educated and another that isn't, you can tell the difference. And then not getting educated, you are limiting yourself. The world, as using the cliche phrase, the world has become a global village. If you are a tailor in Lagos, a fashion designer in Ibadan, you want to be able to communicate with a client that is in Paris, a client that is in Amsterdam. If you have an IG page, you upload your pictures and someone sees the picture and reaches out to you and they want to buy your product or buy your service. How are you able to sell if you can't communicate effectively what you have to offer? So it isn't about the location, it isn't about the age, it isn't about the product or the service you sell. Yes, those things are very important, but how well you're able to communicate the value that you are, the value that you carry, is a great differentiator, which is helped, produced, enhanced by education.
That's true, ma. Thank you so much for that, ma. We seem to have a question. Lady Fair says, would you say that there is a mindset re-engineering that needs to be done even before the most preliminary step of education is taken at the level that it can be understood?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I say that because I see that a lot of people are discouraged from going to school. And part of the reasons is because for some of them, they graduate and they don't have jobs. But that is still not a sufficient reason not to get educated. I'm not undermining the issues that we have around. So yes, I know, I see that our teachers need upskilling. They need to be adequately compensated. We need revised curriculum to align with the current realities and the projections of what we see in the future. Right? Yes, those things are there. They are valid, but they still do not undermine the significance of education. We still need to make the most of what we have currently, and so that we can attain what we see and what we desire for the future. So, to the question about mindset engineering, yes, it is very needed. It is required. People still need to go to school. People still need to get educated. Teachers will be trained. Will build the infrastructure. Will put all the things we need in place gradually. But while we're doing that, we must make the most of what we have currently. And part of the ways to re-engineer the mindsets is even from our homes, right? Parents should encourage their children to continue to go to school and put in the best. In our churches, in our communities, encourage the children to stay in school whenever they get the opportunity to go to school. Stay in school, put in your best. You never can tell when your best will speak for you. You never can tell when your best will make the difference for you. So it's better you have what is required, and when the opportunity shows up, you are prepared for those opportunities than not going to school and then the opportunities show up and you are not able to compete with others. Not going to school because you're not sure of getting a job after school is not a sufficient reason for you not to go to school. Prepare for the future that you desire. If you have the opportunity, take it. Go to school, get schooled, adequately schooled, so that when the opportunity presents itself, you can present yourself as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You're so right, Ma. From what you were saying, I this just popped in my mind. I felt yes, fine. Truly, there might not be the jobs upon graduation, but the thing about it is, as an educated person, you're able to think of what to do. Fine, I might not be getting the job I want to do now. I might not be getting the things I'd love to do now, but what else can I do? And aside from the knowledge that we gain from education, there's so many other things. We gain networking opportunities because this we're not an island of knowledge. We're not created to be alone. So from at times you're trying to get something done, and then you meet a schoolmate of yours that you went to uni together or that you went to secondary school together, and then you just start communicating, and from there the connection you need starts from there. Because if you can only attract the kind of people you are, so you can't be uneducated and expect to attract people that are highly educated. It's not possible. So education sure transcends beyond. It's not just for the knowledge benefits, it's also for the living and sustainability benefits. Thank you so much for that, ma.
Yeah, yeah, it gives higher chances for a better quality of life. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah. When you were talking about the teachers, yes, I was going to ask that. Do you think there's anything that could be done about the quality of education given and the quality of teachers given? Because truly, say for instance, in most African countries, people necessarily do not want to become teachers. Well, I'm not one of them. I am a teacher. I know. But like people inside, again, at times, even when I miss my friends, when I talk about teaching, they look at me and they say, "Oh yes, you're one of the people that are teaching and really knows what she's doing. So I didn't just start teaching because, well, I didn't have any other option to. I just had to go there. I knew what I was looking for there. So how do you think this can be helped, the quality of education and the quality of teachers that are currently helping these learners learn?
Okay, so I think there are three different things. So the quality of education, the quality of teachers, and then the teachers themselves. So, like you rightly said, you went into teaching because you have a passion to teach. Not every teacher has the passion to teach. For you to be an effective teacher, a quality educator, that passion to teach is non-negotiable. Even if you get exposed to that knowledge, if you get trained, if you get the academic skills and qualification, and you do not have the passion to pass that knowledge across to the child in the way the child knows to learn, whatever you've learned will become ineffective. Not every teacher is patient. For you to be able to teach a child effectively, you must be patient. You must be able to understand the child you're teaching and how they like to take in knowledge. You must be observant. You must be compassionate. Some of those things are missing in the teachers. Like I said, if they are not available, if they are not present, even when the academic skills, academic knowledge is available, we may not be able to contextualize those things in a way that will help the children we are teaching. Are there opportunities to improve the quality of teachers that we have? Yes. Are there opportunities to support them better? Yes. Are there opportunities to pay them better to ensure they're adequately compensated for what they do? Yes. Are there opportunities to ensure that the environment is conducive enough for them to be able to teach properly? Yes. But even when all those things are present, our teachers must be passionate about what they do. If you are not passionate about teaching children, especially I'm a mom, I'm a mother of two. I know how much it takes from me to teach my children, to pass knowledge across to them. Imagine teaching someone that you are not related to, that but I mean it is what you do, that is your job. If you are not
Yeah.
patient, if you don't have the passion, if you are not genuinely interested in seeing that child succeed, even when all those other things are present, we may not be able to get the best out of you as a teacher into that child. Every child is unique. Not every child has the ability to patiently sit in class and take in knowledge by the teacher writing on the blackboard. Children have different ways of taking in knowledge, even adults. So teachers will be more helpful in taking the time to learn how their children, their pupils like to taking knowledge, right, and pass it across in such ways.
Thank you so much, Ma. So passion is important.
Oh
Teaching is
yes.
not one of those jobs that you do because you just want to do it. You have to be
No.
willing to give it what it takes because, like you said, not every child is the same. They learn differently, they act differently, they want to be treated differently. So the superpower is to know that everyone is different, just ensure the need everyone is met without showing favoritism to one of the students in the class than the other. Thank you so much, ma. So we
In
have another.
addition to that, Moi, I think another perspective that teachers must have is that they're not just teaching children, they're building future leaders and they're making great impressions on these kids. I think having that perspective in mind, I mean, who are you or who am I who would I have been without a teacher pouring into me? So when they do their job with that perspective in mind, I'm not just teaching this child, I'm probably teaching the next DG of the World Health Organization. I'm probably teaching the future president of an African country. If as teachers, if we do our job with that perspective and mindset, I think it will help us become more deliberate and more patient with the children that we are teaching.
Thank you so much, ma. Thank you. So we have another question. Jefter says, can integrating technology and digital tools to enhance the learning experiences for students work for unreserved community that has little access to these services?
Sorry, can you take that again? I missed some parts. The network was a
Oh,
bit
okay,
unstable.
ma. I said, can integrating technology and digital tools to enhance the learning experience for students work for kids in undeserved, under access to these services?
Oh yes, it will work greatly, enormously. And I say that because technology is here to stay, right? And we say we're preparing children for the future that they deserve and the future that they desire. That is not without technology. If there's an opportunity for a child that is in an underserved community to have access to technology, 100% useful, 100% relevant. And how do we intend to incorporate that? One of the things I mentioned at the beginning is partnership with different organizations. And so I would mention Dolly Foundation, I would mention Aramide Kayode Talent Mine Academy. Those are just some examples. I think they're doing phenomenal jobs with the children that they have in their schools by giving them access to technology and some of the things that will adequately prepare them for the future that we want. And so one of the ways we do that is by partnering with such schools to ensure that children are adequately and sufficiently tutored for the future.
Thank you so much. This is the last question for me.
Okay.
So I was thinking, is there any child that cannot learn? Because of course, in recently, people still think, come away, you can't learn, so there's no point investing in. Sincerely, there's no, even the parents, some parents believe that way. Like, there's no point investing in you, especially if they've been. It's like the child is failing, and then they believe child is not just meant to go to school; it's meant to go do something else. Is that true?
Okay, so for parents that believe that their children cannot learn, their belief becomes their reality, right? There is no child that cannot learn. There are things to consider if a child is not willing to learn. Investigate what the issue is. Could it be the environment? Could it be the learning style? Not every child will like mathematics and science. What does the child like to learn? Could it be the school? Could it be, it could be anything. Could it be the environment? Is there so much tension and chaos that the child is struggling to focus? Is there love? Is there peace? Is there kindness? You know, all those kind of things impact education. If we say quality education, it's not just academics, it's a lot of things. It's important that a child feels loved. It helps education, it helps how they take in knowledge, it helps their perspectives, it helps their understanding. So if you're saying that a child cannot learn, Kumowi, what have you done to help the child to learn? How many strategies have you tried? If you tried one and it didn't work, have you been patient enough to try something else? There is no child that cannot learn. As far as I'm concerned, God did not make junk. If he made everyone in his image and in his likeness, there is no child without greatness. So find out the best way to make that child learn. Find out what is missing from the environment that the child needs to help him or her learn. Every child can learn. Every child should learn. Every child deserves the right to learn.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma. True, true. Every child can learn, so there needs to be like an assessment that needs to be done to check why is the child not learning. What you said is so true. For instance, one of the reasons this is so funny, but one of the reasons why I decided to study English language while for my undergraduate degree is because back in secondary school, I'm like, what course can I do such that once I pass mathematics in WAEC, I don't have a business since English is the way up till now. Anything that deals with number, I'm like, do I really need to do this? So imagine if, for instance, because I wasn't doing so well in mathematics, unlike other kids, my parents then decided, Moyoluwa, you don't deserve to go to school since it's out there still believe if you're if or in the social sciences, the child isn't doing anything. Once you're in the humanities, meanwhile, the humanities take a lot of work because Science is like one, either yes or no. But in the humanities, there are different areas, different ideas justify what you're doing. Why you have to be able to justify the reason behind your answer before you get marked with it. Thank you so much, ma'am.
And you know
Thank you
why
so much.
you're right. You're right, Moe. And you know why that mindset is so short-sighted. There are several reasons a child should go to school, right? Besides, beyond science or humanities, or I think for most of us, some of our best friends in life, we met them in school, right? So when a child goes to school, you're not just going to learn academics, you're going to socialize. They go to school to meet people. Some children meet their best friends for life in school. Some children meet the teacher that will be most impactful and change the trajectory of their life in school. Some students meet the teacher that will be patient enough to help them identify their uniqueness in school. Some children get their greatest source of encouragement that will set them on the right path for life in school. So sending a child to school is beyond getting the degree or getting the certificate. Sending a child to school is practically helping the child actualize the potential of the child's existence. It may be through another pupil, it may be through a parent of the pupil that is in the school, it may be through the teachers, it may be through the environment itself. So it could be anything, right? So it's not just it's science, it's maths, it's language, right? The environment also matters. The people that they go to interact with also matter.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time. Because we're going to be rounding up soon. Thank you so much, Lady Mujisa. It's been an amazing time with you. But we have
Thank you.
one question. I don't know if it says, but based on the data you provided earlier, what is the solution to these kind of misconceptions, especially in traditional African home, to give Africa that equity edge?
So can you take that question again? I missed some parts again.
Okay. Well, based on the data you provided earlier, what might be
Mhm.
the solution to these kind of misconceptions, especially in the African home, to give Africa that equity edge?
Okay, so we'll continue to talk about it. We all have that responsibility, right? We'll continue to talk about it. We'll talk about it everywhere we get the opportunity to speak. It's not just so mindset reengineering is not just a it's not based on a location. It's not based on, okay, this will be taught in school and school alone, or this will be said at home and at home alone. We all have that responsibility of ensuring that we get the right messages across to parents, to pupils, everywhere we find the opportunity to do so. I'll give an example quickly. Um, so we've had to suspend supporting some children because their parents had thought that we'll pay them directly, give them the funds directly instead of
The
paying to
school.
the school. Yes, and we did not. So such parents, as far as I'm concerned, are yet to understand the significance of a child going to
Mm.
school. So what we're doing, part of what we're doing is educating, right, such parents and making them see the relevance of why their children have to go to school. So like I said before, we all have that responsibility to change the narrative wherever we get the opportunity to do so. Let's talk about it.
Thank you so much. So it's a corporate responsibility
Yeah.
to change the narrative, to talk about it, not to keep mute about it. Because the more we
No.
talk about it, it rings an alarm in the heads and in the minds of everyone. So we have a question. Lady Dina said, do you think the gap is with the teachers, parents, or both? And which level are you? So I
And
think the
which level?
gap is trying.
Sorry,
Sorry.
I missed some parts again. So do I think the gap is with the
Oh,
teachers or with the parents?
or both of them. Which
Mhm.
level are you going to address first? Like which level should go first in terms of addressing the reason for the gap?
So the gap, I would say it depends. So it depends on, so generally speaking, I would say both. But again, it depends on the home the child is from or the environment the child is from. It depends on the kind of school the child is attending and the kind of teachers the child is exposed to, right? So the gap can be from either side, and the responsibility to close the gap is also lies with both sides. So without I would say that without identifying gaps as a parent, I must ensure that I play my part, right? And in schools, the teachers should also ensure that they play their part such that there is no gap. So if the teacher is very effective in school and the parents do not encourage the child at home, it will create a gap because it's partnership. Teachers will play their part, parents will play their part. So if the parents are playing their parts at home and the teachers in school are not doing as much as they should do, they're not pulling their weight, it creates another form of gap. So both sides have the responsibility to ensure that they're playing their parts adequately.
That's true. And I feel not just the parents and the teachers also. I think everybody needs to like play the part, because obviously the children have access. They are not just limited to the school and to the home. They're limited in the marketplace, in the shopping mall, on the playground. They're mixing with so many different people that are having influence one way or the other, either directly or indirectly, in their lives and in the way they think. So it's an important thing that every individual sees the importance and the significance of quality education, transcending beyond just the knowledge it gives, but also the way it helps the individual that are partakers of it to be distinct and effective in their lives generally, whatever they lay their hands to do and wherever they find themselves.
Yeah.
For making our time to be with us today, this evening. It's been an impactful session and an enjoyable session. Thank you so much, all the guests, all the audiences that has been here since the beginning and up till now. Thank you so much. You made my time and Lady Mojisora's time here also. So thank you so much. Please would appreciate you like this video, you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you click the notification button so the next time we go live on the next episode, you'll be the first to know. Thank you so much, Ma. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. See you another Friday.
Bye,
everyone. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much, everyone. See you in another episode. Thank you so much for the comments. Thank you so much for the questions. Thank you so much for the engagement so far. Thank you so much, and have a good and restful weekend.